Hello everyone, I'm Ditta from Ditta Reads, and today I'm going to do a book tag, and it's called My Personal Book Taste, and it's created by Niki, so I'm going to link her down in the description bar. And I'm really excited, it is the first time I'm really tagged, so that is awesome. Thank you Niki for tagging me, and I think it is a really awesome tag, so I hope you enjoy it, and I'm going to do it right now. So that's going to happen.
So I'm happy.
The personal book taste tag contains 4 parts. The first part is about the books I like, which are my taste. Then we have a part that is about, what is it? To show books that you enjoy but didn't expect to enjoy at first. So you went into it not expecting really to like it, or maybe it wasn't like exactly the genre you normally would read. And then there will be a face-off, and the challenge was to do it creatively. So that will be fun, I hope. And then we have to show books that are not our usual taste, but I would like to branch out to. So that's going to happen. And I really like Niki's idea for this tag because I think it can be helpful when you're going to see my reviews. Then you already know what kinds of books I like and what kinds of books I don't like. So then you can put that in retrospect of the book I'm reviewing, and maybe then you can be like, yeah, our tastes are kind of the same. I'm going to trust on that and going into this book like knowing what I said. Or maybe you can be like that he has a different taste and I'm going to read it maybe anyway if I didn't like it, but that doesn't necessarily mean nobody's gonna like it, so I think it's a really nice tag, and I'm going to start with the first part. So the first part is to show books that represent your book taste and explain how it shapes your reading preferences. And I have to say that my book taste can be like combinations of different genres, but I'm going to show you some books to explain my book taste. So the first book I'm going to show you is the Sword of Truth series, and then the First Flower Magic or something. I don't know exactly because this is the Dutch copy. It is the first part of the Sword of Truth series, and I've got the other 10 books too. And then I got the First Confessor, which is another book by Terry Goodkind. And this is a fantasy book because I really like fantasy, and this is somewhat of a more high fantasy book, and actually I've always really been into that, but I don't read it that much because I don't know, it can be a bit intimidating to start reading a somewhat more high fantasy book. But this was a series of 11 books originally, and I've read them all and I really like it. The main characters aren't even like teens what I normally read, and I really love the characters. I really love the whole magic and fantasy and all the new rules you can learn about in the world. So I really like that kind of thing. So, and because of that, I expect to really like the books of Game of Thrones, which I have, but I'm actually too intimidated by them to really start reading them already. Then another book I want to show you for fantasy is Eragon, because hey, blue matching colors. Because Eragon, it is about this world where we have dragons, and I really like dragons. I really like this book. And then I have Harry Potter, and this is like the only series I really loved when I was younger. And it's actually what got me into reading for fun, like more seriously, and that I really loved reading, and that's the Harry Potter series. This has been like a big factor in my reading because it made me read, so it will always shape the way I see things. So that was fantasy, and I think I really like fantasy just because fantasy stories, it everything can happen in fantasy stories because you can have like magic and mythical creatures. But then I also like dystopian science fiction books. A good example is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, and I really like this book. It is a dystopian book with an alien invasion, and it's done really realistic. It's really believable, and I really like this kind of science fiction book and dystopian because it can also be a way to criticize or like society or what we're doing, or to show us all the things that we don't want to have in our government, or for example, or in our world. And it's just, I really like these kind of things. I think it's really interesting to see what could happen to our world if it would go like a certain way. Not that it's likely to happen or anything, but that I really like to read about books that give us like a dystopian version of our future, or like the utopian version of our future, and then show that it's not good at all. It can teach you lessons about a lot of things, and I think it's a great story, and I just like reading about it. Another thing I quite enjoy is reading young adult contemporary. A good example of that is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I really like young adult stories because I can really, most of the time, identify with the characters, which is really nice, so I can really live to the story, because if a story is great, that's nice and all, but I want to have characters I care for or that I understand and can identify with. The Fault in Our Stars, it had to be on my taste list because the other books I showed weren't like very emotional for me, except I get really emotional with Harry Potter. I do like to get more emotional in books too. Not that I get really emotional really quickly or anything, but I do like that aspect in books. And then another one I really love, and this is Universe versus Alex Woods. And this one I really love because it also contains a longer time span. I think he is like 8 years old when this in the beginning of the story, and he ends up like 17. And it's young adult, contemporary, and it tackles some big themes. What I really like about this book, and I do like it in other books too, so that's why it's important, is that it makes all kinds of nice references to science or literature or things in the world that I really get excited about if that is in a book. This main character is a guy, which I don't read often. Most of the books I read are from the perspective of a girl, so it's nice to read from a boy's view. The problem I have that I don't always feel like I get to know a boy's perspective in the book really good. I don't know, it's harder to identify sometimes. This shows you what kind of books I do like right now. It might change in the future because, people change, but right now I do really like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian kind of things, and young adult contemporary books. I think I might like a lot of other things, so maybe if I would do this tag in the future, there would be a lot more, but let's go on to the second part because I'm rambling and rambling and rambling. So the second part of this tag is to show a book or books that you enjoy a lot, but yet are not your cup of tea. And therefore I've chosen two books, and they are both by the same author, but that shouldn't matter, so I'm just going to start. So the first book I have is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. And normally I'm not into books like this. This is a bit of a mystery. Someone died, and then there's all this stuff happening, and you have like the perspective of young adults, but also a lot of adults. And actually, mystery, the kind of thing, normally isn't something I really read or I think I really like. It's not like I really like this book, and I think this book was amazing. I love the characters. I just felt such a bond with a lot of them, like the adults, but also the younger teens, and that was really awesome in this book. And you read from like a lot of perspectives, and I really liked it, and it was fantastic writing. But do I love mystery books like this with someone who dies and then we have to find everything out what happens? Not so much. I normally wouldn't really like reading about that. And then the other book I have is The Cuckoo's Calling, and this is a detective, so it's also a mystery novel. And normally a detective, I really like detectives on TV, but I don't really like reading them. But I did really like reading this one, so I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I'm just have to get more into it. Two mystery, detective-y kind of novels. That's pretty awesome. That I like them. Would I normally like this genre? I don't think so. So it actually was. I was like, J.K. Rowling wrote it, so I'm going to read it, and I ended up really liking it. I was afraid I might not like it, but I ended up really liking it, so that was great. And I think that because J.K. Rowling wrote it, it actually kind of opened that kind of genre for me for reading. So yeah, that's that. So now it's time for the third part of this tag video, and it's going to be a face-off, and I've decided to do a face-off of covers of books I've read, and then I've just randomly picked series and books and stuff from my shelf, which is now mostly empty, and I'm going to decide which of this selection is going to be the best cover. which does have the best cover. And I will start by going through the series and then deciding the best from that series, and then competing series against each other or competing standalones with each other, and then I will probably end up with one beautiful cover, or maybe if I can decide two, but one I hope. I've got 3 books from the Eragon series because I don't own the last one, and we've got Eragon, we've got Eldest, and we've got Bristniger, I hope I pronounced it right. And if I'm going to look at these 3 covers, I have to say I do like all the dragon art on these, but I do think Eldest is the most intense and therefore the best cover, because you have here they are like little pictures, but this is like the whole cover is a dragon, so that one's going to stay. Then I have the Delirium trilogy, and I have Delirium, I have Pandemonium, and then I've got Requiem. So from these 3, I really like these covers, and it is really hard because they are all much alike, but I think that I don't like Pandemonium as much as Delirium and Requiem. So that one is gone. And then we have two, I don't know, I'm going to keep them for now. Then I'm going to stand off. I have Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver and The Fifth Wave. And Before I Fall, I don't feel like this cover really says anything about the story at all. And I think this one has just like this mysterious feeling of everything inside this book. So Before I Fall will be gone. Then I have Panic, also by Lauren Oliver. I think I just grabbed books from a Lauren Oliver shelf or something. If you look at Panic versus the Cuckoo's Calling, like this one, I think I personally think this one is nicer. It's just got this whole lot more, I don't know, it's got this mysterious feeling, and by Panic it can be like, where the story about, it can be anything, and yeah, this one is going to stay. Then I'm going to show off some young adult books, and The Cold Girl in Cold Town is definitely going to stay because I really like that one, and I really love the minimalistic design of The Fault in Our Stars, and I don't know what to do. I can choose between them, but I think I'm going to, this makes me sad, but Fault in Our Stars is going to go. I'm sorry. I really love that cover. I want it back. No, I've decided it's gone. Okay, this one is gone too. This is making, this is hard. It's making me emotional. I feel like I betrayed the books. Anyway, I think, and I have Chopsticks, and I have Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, and I really like this photo cover and the way Chopsticks is on it and everything, but I think I love this one more. It's really nice and colorful, so gone. The Jacuzzi, this one's gonna go. So that means I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books left, so it's getting harder. And I think that of these books, I've got Requiem, I've got Eldest, I've got The Fifth Wave, I've got The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, and I've got Attachments that Coldest Girl in Cold Town will have to go. I think Eldest will also have to go. I want The Coldest Girl in Cold Town back, but it's gone. So I have these 3 books. I've got Attachments, I've got The Fifth Wave, and I've got Requiem. And I really love this design. The Fifth Wave is going. It's going. Okay, I've got Attachments and I've got Requiem. So I think I like. Okay, I'm going for Requiem. So Requiem won. It were a lot of books. So now the last part, and it is to show books that are not your usual taste, but that you would like to branch out to. The first one I've got is The Host by Stephanie Meyer, and also Twilight for that matter. And the reason that I never read these books is because Stephanie Meyer always was kind of a joke on school, when the movies came out, on the internet, and I always was apprehensive because of it, and I kind of believed in it. But now I'm like, I never actually read anything by Stephanie Meyer, so I have to read something and then I can make my own opinion about it, instead of being like, nah, that's going to be bad, Twilight is bad, everyone is always talking hate about it. But right now I feel like I have to read something, so I've got The Host for that reason, and I'm planning on reading the Twilight series too, but The Host is the one I will probably start with because now I own this one, and I want to read it because I want to have an opinion on Stephanie Meyer's work, and I think I might actually really like a book like this. I read what it's about, and I hope I like it. So next to Twilight and the Host, which can kind of fall in the things I actually already like, I want to try something totally different, and that is somewhat more autobiographical books. Did I pronounce it right? I hope so. Let's continue. And an example of that is Marley and Me, The World's Worst Dog. I will put a photo somewhere. And I want to read Orange is the New Black. That's because I saw some of the series on Netflix and it's got me really interesting in the woman's prison. And I want to read what it's like all about really, because it just really interesting, but I think the series is a bit over exaggerated and everything, and I want to read it more from the book's perspective. I'm really interested in this genre because obviously it's about people, their lives, and what happened, and I think you can learn stuff from it, and I don't know, somehow it got me interested. So those two books are books I'm planning to check out when I have the opportunity. And then there's another genre I am planning to get into, and that is graphic novels. When I was a bit younger, I did read some manga and stuff, but not really a lot or anything. But I want to check out like more graphic novels, like for example Sega, or I might even try Sex Criminals, and I'm a bit apprehensive about it, but it's supposed to be really funny, and I hope, yeah, I hope that will be something I like. So Sega and Sex Criminals, who knows? I might enjoy it, I might not, but I want to check it out. So that were all the questions from this tag. I hope you liked it. I hope you know more about my taste in books, and I was clear in this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. There must be things I've forgotten, maybe some very obvious things or anything. So feel free to leave a comment. I want to thank Niki for tagging me. It's the first time I've been tagged. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you. I want to recommend Niki's channel. She makes some great videos. They are really refreshing my look on different books and things. And I just want to recommend the videos. I saw they were really good. I really like it. So check her out. And I think that was it. Whoa, 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 whoa. So I almost kind of forgot I can tag people too. So I want to tag Natalie Sue 25, Natalie from that channel I just said, and I hope you will do this tag and like it. And I like doing this tag. Some of the questions were really hard. I came up with answers, so it is doable. So I think that was it. I hope everyone has a great day, enjoy life, and be happy. Goodbye!